Well, you just got clickbaited, son, and for that I am extremely sorry. But stick around, because I'm going to tell you why I love my hammock. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me once again. A little backyard video today, and we're going to talk about hammocks. So I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a big hammock guy. I really enjoy sleeping in a hammock. I love a tarp in front of a fire, I love that too. But if I'm backpacking, guaranteed I'm in a hammock. So not everybody feels the way I do. A lot of people don't like hammocks. I can't understand why. They say a lot of things like, hammocks is uncomfortable. My good man, hammocks are very comfortable. I can't sleep on my back on account of my deviated septum. You can't side sleep in a hammock. On the contrary, they're very deviated septum friendly. I reckon hammocks is too difficult to set up. A child could set up a hammock. Hammocks ain't bushcraft. Hammocks aren't bushcraft? Come on. Down south, a little place called the Amazonian rainforest, there's a bunch of people doing some gangster bushcraft every day out of hammocks. And hammock people are weird. They're a bunch of stupid hosers and they should just take off, eh? Did you just call me a hoser? Because if you think it's weird to go out into the woods all by yourself and wrap yourself up into what looks like a very tasty enchilada to any bear who might be meandering by, well, you might have a really good point. Enchiladas. Look at that. Oh, baby. So I've slept in all kinds of different hammocks. Bridge hammocks, regular gathered end hammocks, all different brands. And I got to admit, it was a slippery slope for me. So first thing I bought was, you know, one of these. And I bought one of those. And I bought one of these. One of those. When I bought this one, I really thought I was onto something. Then I bought one of those. Then I bought one of these. Dream hammock. I liked it so much, I bought another one. They're the ones I like the best. They're not the only really good quality hammock out there, but I'm going to set this one up for you today the way I like it, and maybe it'll help you in a decision if you're thinking about buying a hammock. So it's true, not everybody is comfortable in a hammock. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it may not be set up properly. We'll address that later. But you may have just bought the wrong hammock like I did at first. This one is just a recreational hammock. Nothing really wrong with it. It is basically for the backyard, taken to the cottage, maybe to the beach. It's made for lounging and maybe having a nap in it. The material is not really that great. It's a little bit too stretchy for my tastes. It's not long enough and it's not wide enough to get a really good night's sleep in. So the recreational backyard hammocks are not really a good place to start. You want to move on to a hammock that's properly made for hammock camping. I like the Dream hammocks. This is the Darien. I have another one, it's called the Thunderbird. It's more of a winter hammock system. But we're going to set up the Darien the way I like it set up, and maybe I'll help you. Okay, you got your hammock and the fabric you want, and the length you want, and the width you want. So you just need a couple trees now. So I like to store my suspension in my hammock bag. There it is, these tree straps. You really should always hang with tree straps, not with rope or not with 550 cord. You can really damage the tree. So let's get this set up. I usually start at about head height for me. You're looking for trees that are about 14 feet apart. You want to make sure the tree strap is fed through the loop like this. Okay, so there's no stress on this loop. If you have it like this, pulling on that loop, you could have a failure. So always make sure it's set up like this. So the type of suspension I like on a gathered end hammock is this continuous loop with a cinch buckle attached to the end. Cinch buckle to me is the most convenient way to hang your hammock. This one is made out of, looks like aluminum. You can get them out of titanium even lighter, but I like the cinch buckle system. So one thing I see and I notice is that people seem to crank the suspension super tight, and that hammock is stretched really tight. So when you get in it, it's going to be really tight. There's not going to be any give to the fabric. It's going to be very uncomfortable. It could also cause something called calf ridge pressure. It's kind of a crease in the hammock that gets you right in the back of the calf, makes for a very uncomfortable sleep. Okay? And when you hang your hammock like this, too tight at an extreme angle, it can also add stress to the hammock itself, causing it to break. That would not be fun in the middle of the night. So once you're in your hammock, there's a built-in indicator that you might have it hung wrong. The ridgeline here, notice how tight this ridgeline is? I can't flex it at all. That means this hammock is hung too tight. There's too much tension in the ridgeline. That translates into too much tension in the hammock down below. You're not going to get a good night's sleep. You could have a catastrophic failure in the hammock itself. So we need to adjust that. All right, let's try this one. I got this one all wrong again too. See how much flex is in that ridge line now? So as you can see, this ridge line here has no tension on it whatsoever. Way too much flex, so this hammock is not hung properly. There's a happy medium. Let's find it. Okay, I may have found the sweet spot. Let's give it a shot. Feels good. So I'm not sure if this is showing up, but I'm sleeping on a nice diagonal, fully flat. My legs are slightly elevated, which feels good. It's just the right amount of tension in the ridge line. There are calculations you can do, 30 degrees from the tree to the hammock and all this, but I watched a video from Randy at Dream Hammocks. He seemed to think ridge line tension was a good indicator, and that's good enough for me. Oh man, this is so nice. So one thing to notice, the foot end of my hammock is about 6 to 10 inches higher than the head end of my hammock. Good reason for that. If the foot end is higher, you stay more central in the hammock. If the head end is higher, you're going to start sliding downwards. You're going to get bunched up in the middle. It's not going to make for a very nice sleep. So you always want to keep your foot end 6-10 inches higher than your head. So, you're a side sleeper, or you like to sleep on your front, you cannot sleep on your back in a gathered end hammock. Here's a solution. This is from hammocktent.com. It's called a 90-degree hammock. So in a regular gathered end hammock, your feet and head are pointing towards the trees. In a 90-degree hammock from Hammock Tent, your feet and head point 90 degrees away from the trees. And it's a sweet ride. Let's get in. So this is the first generation of hammock from Hammock Tent. They've come up with 1 or 2 different generations since I bought this one. Lighter and better. And I bought this one for my wife because she's a definite side sleeper. She can't seem to get comfortable in a gathered end hammock. That's fair enough. But she likes this one. I've never actually spent a night in it. I've just sat in it for a few minutes, and it is really, really comfortable. It's a little different to get into. You have to scooch up, get your feet in, put yourself up. Oh. Once you're in it, oh, it's worth it. So the feel of this is not hammocky. It's like being in your bed at home or being in a nice comfortable cot. All right. With the mat, you're just floating on air. It's really comfortable. The question is, how is it for side sleeping? It's really nice for side sleeping. Man, this is super comfortable. Believe me, this is a really nice hammock. So if you're a definite side sleeper, not really a hammock guy, but you like the idea of sleeping off the ground, something like this might be good for you. Mrs. Woodswalker gives it 2 thumbs up. Well guys, that's about it. It's starting to snow again. That's just awesome. And I'm losing my light. Probably doesn't show up in the camera, but I am losing my light. So are you getting the picture? I love hammocks. I love this gathered end hammock. I like that 90-degree hammock I showed you. I may have to borrow that one for my wife. Hammocks are light, they're portable, they're comfortable when they're set up properly, and they're not that difficult to set up really. Just a few things to remember: keep your feet a little higher than your head, keep reasonable tension on the ridge line, and I'm sure you'll have a comfortable night's sleep. If you're kind of on the edge of getting into hammock camping, I hope this video was helpful to you. And if you're never going to sleep in a hammock, that's okay too. Get out in the woods and have some fun. Thanks again for watching. If you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button, either there or there. And please give me a thumbs up and a comment down below. Take care, guys. We'll see you in the next one.